The Grand Galactic Council chamber was larger than any city on Earth. It floated in deep space, built from silver metal and black crystal. Thousands of alien leaders sat in circles around a glowing platform in the center. The air was heavy. The atmosphere felt tense. In the middle of the chamber, a blue hologram slowly rotated. It was Earth, a small planet, young, new to the galaxy. High Commander Xiron of the Vareth Empire stood tall. His armor was dark and sharp, shaped like blades. His red eyes scanned the room. He enjoyed moments like this. He raised one clawed hand, and the chamber became silent. "Humanity has refused our final offer," he said in a cold voice. A low murmur spread through the crowd. For months, the Vareth Empire had demanded something simple: submission, protection under their rule, trade under their control, military limits. Every growing species accepted these terms. Every species except one. Humans. They were warned. Xiron continued. They were given time. They were given mercy. The hologram changed. It now showed human ships building stations in deep space, mining fleets near asteroid belts, military ships patrolling their borders. "They continue to expand," Xiron said. "They build weapons. They ignore our authority." Some alien leaders laughed quietly. "Humans are emotional," one leader whispered. "They are divided," said another. "They are young," said a third. Xiron allowed the noise to grow for a moment. Then he spoke again. "Effective immediately. The Vareth Empire declares war on humanity." The chamber exploded with sound. Many leaders clapped. Some cheered. A few looked nervous. But most believed this would be a short conflict. After all, the Vareth Empire had crushed older civilizations. What chance did a young species like humanity have? But in the far corner of the chamber, one figure did not move. The Cathari elder, ancient, silent, watching. His skin was pale gray, marked with deep lines of age. His species had seen thousands of wars. He slowly leaned forward. "You should reconsider," the elder said softly. Xiron turned, annoyed. "Explain." The elder's eyes stayed fixed on the image of Earth. Humans evolved on a death world. The room grew quieter. High gravity, wild climate, natural disasters, predators, disease. He paused, and they survived themselves. Some leaders frowned. "What does that mean?" one asked. The elder's voice remained calm. "It means they are not peaceful because they are weak. They are peaceful because they are tired of fighting." A few leaders shifted in their seats, but Xiron only laughed. "We have studied their history," he said. "Primitive wars, divided nations, internal conflict. They destroy their own planet." "Yes," the elder replied, "and they learned from it." Silence returned. Xiron waved his hand. "The decision is final." The hologram changed again. This time it showed Vareth fleets preparing for war. Massive ships powered by dark energy. Weapons strong enough to break moons. Within one cycle, Xiron declared, human defenses will fall. The chamber filled with applause again. The war had begun. Far away, inside human space, a deep space communication station received a signal. It was short, clear, official. "War has been declared by the Vareth Empire." The message reached Earth in seconds. Inside the Human Defense Council chamber, leaders from every nation sat together. There were no arguments, no shouting, no panic. The room was quiet. President Alina Rao looked at the hologram of approaching enemy fleets. Her face showed no fear. "How long?" she asked. "2 weeks until first contact at our outer colonies," an admiral replied. Another officer spoke. "Our evacuation plans are ready. Civilian ships are already moving." President Rao nodded. "Activate Protocol Aegis." The words echoed in the chamber. Across Earth and its colonies, hidden systems powered on. Deep beneath oceans, massive structures began to rise. Satellites shifted position in orbit. Old shipyards, silent for years, came alive. Factories increased production. Humanity had prepared for this day. They just hoped it would never come. In deep space, the first Vareth fleet moved like a dark storm. Thousands of ships, weapons glowing, confident. Their commanders expected fear, surrender messages, chaos. Instead, when they entered the first human colony system, they found it empty. Cities dark, stations abandoned, no civilians, only silence. Then the mines activated. Explosions ripped through the front lines. 3 Vareth destroyers vanished instantly. Confusion spread. "Scan the system," a Vareth commander shouted. More explosions followed. Hidden drones emerged from asteroids. Automated defense platforms opened fire. The humans were not there. but their traps were. Back on Earth, Admiral Marcus Hale watched the battle feed. He stood calmly. Phase 1 complete, he said. Enemy losses? Asked President Rao. Minimal to us, significant to them. She folded her hands. Good. Continue evacuation of outer systems. Understood. There was no celebration. This was only the beginning. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, reports began to arrive. First fleet engagement. Unexpected resistance. Multiple Verith losses. Human systems evacuated before arrival. The mood slowly changed. Cyron frowned. That is impossible, he said. They could not have predicted the exact time. The Cathari elder closed his eyes briefly. They did not need to know the exact time, he said quietly. They only needed to assume you would attack. Another report came. Human military ships detected. Small formations. Avoiding direct combat. Targeting supply routes. The room felt colder. Cyron's voice hardened. Deploy second fleet. Increase speed. But far beyond the edge of known space, something moved. An ancient machine, hidden in darkness, received a signal from human space. A signal that had not been used in centuries. It slowly powered on, its massive systems awakening, watching, waiting. Back on Earth, Admiral Hale looked at a separate screen. It showed a classified symbol. He spoke softly. Phase 2 ready? A voice answered from the shadows. Yes, Admiral. He nodded once. Then let them come. Outside, in orbit above Earth, hundreds of human warships waited silently, engines warm, weapons armed, not afraid, prepared. The war had been declared, but the galaxy did not yet understand something very important. Humans did not fear war, they feared extinction, and they had survived it before. The Verith Empire did not believe in slow wars. They believed in overwhelming force. After the failure of their first entry into human space, High Commander Zyron ordered something simple. Send everything. Within hours, 3 massive war fleets moved toward human territory. Thousands of ships formed a dark wall across the stars. Their engines burned like red suns. This time they would not be careful. They would erase. The first target was Helios Station. It was one of humanity's largest mining colonies. It floated near a dying star, surrounded by asteroid fields rich with rare metals. For years it had powered human expansion. Now it stood quiet. The Verith fleet arrived in perfect formation. Scan for life, the Verith commander ordered. Minimal heat signatures. An officer replied. No active military ships detected. The commander smiled. Destroy the station. Before the command could be fully transmitted, something strange happened. The star near Helios Station suddenly flared. Energy waves burst outward, blinding sensors. What is happening? The commander shouted. Then the asteroid field moved. Not naturally. Thousands of hidden engines activated at once. The asteroids were not rocks. They were weapons. Each one split open, revealing missile pods and railguns. Automated defense systems began firing from every direction. The Verith ships were trapped inside the field. Explosions filled space. Large Verith cruisers tried to turn, but the asteroids blocked escape paths. Then human ships appeared. Not in front, not in formation. They appeared behind the Verith fleet. Small, fast, silent, Wolf-class attack ships. They targeted engines first, not bridges, not weapons. Engines, one by one. Verith ships lost movement, drifting helplessly. Retreat, the commander screamed, but retreat required movement, and movement was gone. Within 30 minutes, the mighty Verith assault fleet was cut in half. Human ships did not stay long. After crippling the fleet, they vanished back into deep space. The message was clear. This war would not be simple. Back in the Verith capital system, Wesayron listened to the battle report. His claws tightened. They turned a mining system into a fortress, an officer said nervously. They sacrificed their own station. Another added Deus. Wesayron's eyes narrowed. They are willing to destroy their own resources. Yes, Commander. Silence filled the command chamber. Most species protected infrastructure. Humans weaponized it. Meanwhile, deeper inside human territory, civilians were still evacuating. Large transport ships carried families away from border systems. Children looked out of windows at distant stars. They did not see the battle, but they knew something was wrong. On Earth, President Rezu addressed the planet. Her message was calm. We did not choose this war, she said, but we will not lose it. Across the world, people prepared. Factories shifted to military production. Old warships were repaired. Retired soldiers volunteered again. Humanity was not united by fear. It was united by survival. The Second Verith Fleet tried a different strategy. Instead of attacking colonies, they targeted communication hubs. If we blind them,
their commander said. "We break their coordination." The fleet entered the Vega relay system. It was the central communication network for 5 human sectors. Destroying it would cause chaos, but when they arrived, they found something unexpected. The relay station was still active, lights on, signals moving, almost inviting. "It is a trap," one Verith officer whispered. "Of course it is," the commander replied, "but we will spring it carefully." They advanced slowly, scanning for hidden ships, scanning for mines. Nothing. The system seemed quiet, too quiet. Then a single human transmission was sent directly to the Verith flagship. A face appeared on screen. Admiral Marcus Hale. Calm. Focused. "You should turn back," he said simply. The Verith bridge erupted in laughter. "You are surrounded," their commander replied. "You cannot stop this." Admiral Hale tilted his head slightly. "Who said we were here to stop you?" Before the Verith commander could answer, space itself seemed to bend. From behind the relay station, massive shapes emerged. Not small wolf ships, something larger. Black Horizon Fleet. Their hulls were dark, almost absorbing light. Their weapons glowed with deep blue energy. The Verith commander felt fear for the first time. Fire. All weapons. Red beams crossed space, but the Black Horizon ships did not dodge. They activated gravity shields. The Verith shots curved away, pulled off target. Then the human fleet fired. Only once. A wave of compressed gravity rolled forward like an invisible storm. Verith ships in the front line folded inward. Crushed by pressure no armor could resist. Metal screamed. Hull plates collapsed. Entire cruisers turned into twisted debris. The second line tried to retreat, but human wolf ships had already blocked escape routes. This was not a battle. It was a hunt. Within 1 hour, the Vega assault fleet was gone. Destroyed. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, panic began to spread. "This cannot be correct," one leader said. 2 full fleets destroyed. Another asked. The Cathari elder closed his eyes again. "They are testing you," he said softly. "Testing?" Someone replied. "Yes, they are learning how you fight, and they are adapting." Adyaran slammed his fist against the command table. "We will not be studied like prey." But deep inside doubt had entered his thoughts. Humans were not reacting emotionally. They were executing a plan. A very detailed plan. On Earth, Admiral Hale stood before a classified screen. It showed casualty number. Human losses were not zero. Ships had been destroyed. Soldiers had died. He lowered his head briefly. Then he looked up. "Prepare Phase 3, he ordered. An officer hesitated. "Sirs, that means entering Verith territory." Hale nodded. "Yes, we take the war to them, far beyond the current battle zones." The ancient machine in deep space continued to wake, its systems connected to human networks, receiving updates, calculating outcomes. It was not human, but it obeyed human command codes. Long ago, humanity had prepared for enemies far stronger than the Verith Empire, and they had built something just in case. The galaxy had declared war on humanity. But the galaxy still did not understand. Humans did not fight wars to survive battles. They fought wars to end threats forever. And now, the first human fleet crossed into Verith. Not loudly, not in massive numbers, quietly, like predators entering hunting grounds. The first strike was over. The counterattack had begun. The first human fleet entered Verith space without announcement. No broadcast, no threats, no grand speech. They simply crossed the border. The stars inside Verith territory looked the same as anywhere else in the galaxy. But for the first time in centuries, the Verith Empire felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. The human ships did not move in large groups. They split into small units. 5 ships here, 3 ships there, sometimes just 1. Each ship had a simple mission: observe, strike, disappear. The first target was not a military base. It was a fuel refinery orbiting a gas giant. The refinery powered 3 nearby Verith fleets. It was heavily guarded. Defense cannons covered every angle. The Verith commanders believed it was safe. Then, without warning, the refinery's internal systems shut down. Lights flickered. Doors locked. Security codes changed. "What is happening?" the station master shouted. An officer checked the console. "We are being hacked." "That is impossible. Our systems are isolated." But they were not isolated. Weeks earlier, during minor trade exchanges, small human software packages had entered Verith commercial networks. Quiet, hidden, sleeping. Now they were awake. The refinery's defense cannons turned inward. They fired on their own guard ships. Chaos exploded across orbit. Then a single human stealth ship appeared from behind the gas giant. It launched precision missiles, not at the guards, at the reactors. The refinery erupted in bright fire. The human ship left before Vareth reinforcements arrived. Total time of attack, 9 minutes. High Commander Zyron received the report in silence. They targeted supply. He muttered, "Yes, Commander," his advisor replied. 3 fleets now lack fuel support. Zyron's eyes burned with anger. They avoid our warships. They attack support systems. They move like... He stopped. He did not want to say the word. Predators. Across Vareth space similar attacks began. Communication arrays failed. Military shipyards suffered accidents. Weapon factories lost power. Nothing large, nothing dramatic. Just constant damage, like small bites, every day, every hour. The Vareth Empire was strong in direct combat, but it was not prepared for invisible war. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, many species watched carefully. Some began reviewing human history again. They saw something disturbing. Humans had once fought wars across their own planet, but they did not always win by strength. They won by strategy, deception, psychological pressure, long-term planning. One alien general whispered, "They are breaking the Empire from inside." The Cathari elder nodded slowly. "They are teaching the Vareth to feel fear." Back inside Vareth territory, panic began spreading among civilians. Rumors moved faster than facts. "They are everywhere. They can control our systems. They see us." Military patrols increased, but that made things worse. The more ships the Vareth gathered in one place, the more human attacks happened somewhere else. The Empire was chasing ghosts. Then came the message. Every Vareth military channel received the same transmission, a simple text line. "No fleet is safe." It was not signed. It did not threaten destruction. It stated a fact. Moments later, a Vareth battle group near the border detected a small human cruiser. "Destroy it," their commander ordered. 20 Vareth ships locked weapons. The human cruiser did not run. Instead it transmitted coordinates. Seconds later, 5 Vareth ships in the rear exploded. Hidden human mines had been placed in their path days early. While the Vareth focused on the visible enemy, the real trap waited behind them. The cruiser jumped to hyperspace. The Vareth fleet was left damaged and confused. On Earth, Admiral Hale studied the growing list of successful strikes, but he did not smile. He knew something important. The Vareth were learning too. "They will adapt," he said quietly. An officer nodded. "Our simulations show they will begin heavy centralization, stronger defense zones." "Good," Hale replied. The officer looked surprised. "Good, sir?" "Yes, when they gather their forces, we will know where to strike." Meanwhile, the ancient machine beyond the galaxy edge fully awakened. It connected to deep human military channels. It processed battlefield data at speeds no organic mind could match. It suggested new attack patterns, new predictions. Human commanders reviewed its calculations. Some of its suggestions were extreme, but the numbers were clear. If the war continued this way, the Vareth Empire would collapse in 7 standard months. Back in Vareth space, Zyron made a decision. "Gather the Ion Wall fleet," he ordered. The Ion Wall was the pride of the Empire. 10,000 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled. "We will stop hunting shadows," Zyron growled. "We will create a fortress in our core systems. Let them come to us." The fleet gathered around the Vareth capital world, layer upon layer of warships, defense platforms, shield generators. It was a wall of metal and firepower. The Empire believed this would force humans into direct battle, and in direct battle, the Vareth still believed they were superior. The humans noticed immediately. Admiral Hale watched the fleet formation through long-range scans. "They are afraid," an officer said. Hale shook his head. "No, they are desperate." He turned toward the main display. "Prepare Operation Silent Eclipse." The room became still. That operation had been discussed only once before. It was risky, complex, but devastating. Far inside Vareth capital space, something small drifted unnoticed. A cargo container, marked as destroyed debris from an earlier battle. It slowly approached the outer defense grid. Security scans ignored it. It showed no power signature, no weapons, nothing unusual. But inside the container, human technology waited, waiting for a signal, waiting for the right moment. Across the galaxy, species began asking a new question. What happens if humanity wins? The war was no longer about survival. It was about balance of power, And every passing day made one thing clear. Humans were not fighting with anger. They were fighting with patience, careful, cold, precise, like predators circling a wounded giant. The Vareth Empire still had strength, still had numbers, still had pride, but pride does not stop bleeding. And somewhere near the Vareth capital, the silent cargo container received its activation code. A tiny green light blinked inside the darkness. Operation Silent Eclipse had begun. The Vareth capital system had never known fear. For centuries, it stood untouched, protected by fleets, guarded by shields, feared by all. Now it was surrounded by the Iron Wall fleet. 10,000 warships formed layers around the capital world. Defense platforms floated like steel mountains. Energy shields covered the planet in bright blue light. High Commander Cyron stood on the bridge of his flagship. "Let them come," he said coldly. He believed the humans had only two choices: attack the wall and be destroyed, or retreat and admit defeat. Either way, the Empire would regain control. But Cyron did not understand something. Humans rarely chose between two options. They created a third. Deep inside the outer defense grid, the drifting cargo container slowly passed inspection. Automated scanners read it as debris, damaged metal, scrap from early battles. It floated closer to the shield generator network. Then it stopped. Inside, machines powered on silently. Small spider-like drones unfolded. They attached themselves to nearby shield relays, waiting. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the mood had completely changed. No one laughed anymore. Reports of Vareth losses continued to arrive. Fuel shortages, power failure, shipyard explosions, trade collapse. "The Empire is shrinking," one council member whispered. The Cathari elder spoke softly. "Not shrinking, bleeding." Another leader asked, "Will the humans attack the capital?" The elder's eyes narrowed. "They do not need to." Back in Vareth space, civilians began to question their leaders. Why were the humans inside their borders? Why were refineries destroyed? Why were fleets missing? The Vareth media tried to control the message. They called the human attacks cowardly. They promised a final victory soon. But people noticed something. The humans never attacked cities. They never targeted civilians. Only military, only supply, only control systems. It was not random destruction. It was organized dismantling. And that made it more frightening. On Earth, Admiral Hale reviewed the final preparations for Operation Silent Eclipse. A large hologram showed the Vareth capital system, every fleet position, every defense platform, every shield relay. An officer spoke carefully. "Sir, once we trigger the drones, their outer shield layer will fail for 6 minutes. Hale nodded. 6 minutes is enough. Another officer looked worried. "The Iron Wall fleet will respond immediately." "Yes," Hale said. "That is the point." He turned to President Ratto, who stood quietly beside him. "This will end the war," he said. She replied calmly, "Make sure it ends it completely." Back near the Vareth capital, the spider drones finished attaching to shield relays. At the same time, human fleets began small attacks in other parts of Vareth. Border stations, military depots, outlying defense grids. The Iron Wall fleet grew restless. "They are trying to distract us," one Vareth admiral said. "Trying to distract us," one Vareth admiral said. Egdrain agreed. "Hold position, protect the capital." But distraction was exactly what humans wanted. Then it happened. Without warning, the outer planetary shield flickered, just once. Then again, alarms screamed across the capital system. "Shield instability detected." "Impossible," Egdrain shouted. "Find the source." Before they could locate it, the outer shield collapsed, only the outer layer. But it was enough. From hyperspace, human ships emerged. Not thousands, not hundreds, only 50. The Black Horizon fleet. They did not attack the planet. They targeted the shield generators directly. Gravity weapons fired. In precise bursts, 3 generators collapsed. A gap opened in the Iron Wall formation. "Engage," Egdrain roared. 10,000 Vareth ships surged forward. But as they moved, something unexpected happened. Their own formations created chaos. Ships collided. Defense lines overlapped. Orders crossed signals. The fleet was too large, too heavy, too slow to respond quickly. The human ships moved like shadows between giants. They fired, then disappeared into hyperspace, reappeared elsewhere, striking again. It was not about destroying the Iron Wall. It was about exposing its weakness. Inside the capital city, civilians watched from protected shelters. They saw flashes of light in the sky. For the first time in history, war touched their home. Fear spread through the population. Not fear of destruction, fear of vulnerability. The Empire was not untouchable. In the Galactic Council chamber, live feeds of the battle filled the air. The silence was complete. One council leader finally spoke. "They are showing us something." "What?" another asked. "That no empire is too big to fall." The Cathari elder nodded slowly. "They are rewriting the rules of power." Back on the Varith flagship, Egdrain felt something he had never felt before. Doubt. The human fleet had already retreated. Damage reports continued arriving. Several shield generators destroyed. Dozens of Iron Wall ships lost. Nothing catastrophic, but the message was clear. The capital could be reached. The Iron Wall could be broken. And if it could be broken once, it could be broken again. Admiral Hale watched the battle data from Earth. Outer shield neutralized. An officer confirmed. Enemy fleet disorganized. Hale crossed his arms. "Good, sir." The officer asked carefully, "Why not destroy the capital while the shield was down?" Hale's answer was simple, "Because we are not here to conquer." He looked at the Varith fleet formation. "We are here to make them surrender." But surrender was not yet certain. Inside the Varith command center, Egdrain made a final decision. "If they want our attention," he said slowly, "we will give it to them." He turned to his generals. "Prepare the full assault on Earth." The room froze. "That will leave the capital vulnerable," one advisor warned. Egdrain's voice was cold. "If we destroy their home world, this war ends." Orders were transmitted instantly. The Iron Wall fleet began reorganizing. Large sections prepared for hyperspace jump. Destination: Sol system, Earth on Earth. Warning alarms activated. Long-range sensors detected massive hyperspace energy building. Admiral Hale stared at the readings. "They are coming," an officer whispered. "Yes," Hale said quietly. President Ratto stepped forward. "Then this is it." Hale nodded. "Yes, this is the final phase." Above Earth, hidden defense platforms powered on. Beneath oceans, ancient weapons rose. Behind the moon, massive shadows moved into position. Humanity had been patient. Humanity had been precise. Now, humanity would stand, and the galaxy would finally understand why declaring war on humans was the greatest mistake the Varith Empire ever made. The stars above Earth began to distort. Across the solar system, space itself bent as hyperspace gates opened. 110, 100, then thousands. The Iron Wall fleet arrived. It filled the darkness like a second sky. Varith warships formed lines across the outer edge of the solar system. Their weapons charged. Their engines burned red. On Earth, billions watched the live feed. There was no cheering, no panic, only silence. This was the moment humanity had prepared for. Inside the Varith flagship, High Commander Egdrain Ron stared at the blue planet. "So this is their cradle," he said quietly. "Scans confirm heavy defenses." An officer replied. "Good," Egdrain said. "I want them to fight." He raised his hand. "Begin planetary assault." The first wave moved forward. Thousands of Varith ships advanced past Neptune's orbit. Then the traps began. Asteroids shifted. Hidden railgun platforms emerged from dwarf planets. Missiles launched from places long believed empty. Explosions ripped through the front Varith lines. But this time, the Empire was prepared. Defense grids activated. Counterfire filled space. Human platforms were destroyed. Debris scattered across the void. The Varith fleet kept moving, slowly, relentlessly. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Hale stood in the central command room. Large screens showed every part of the solar system. Outer defense line holding. An officer reported. "Casualties?" Hale asked. "Acceptable." He gave a small nod. "Activate lunar shield." Behind the moon, massive shield emitters powered on. A faint blue barrier spread across Earth's orbit. The Varith fleet opened fire. Beams of red energy struck the shield. The entire planet shook. Cities felt the vibration. Windows cracked. But the shield held. Inside civilian shelters, families held each other. Children asked simple questions. "Will we be okay?" Parents gave simple answers. Yes. They did not know if it was true, but humanity had faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, world wars. This was only another storm. The Verith commanders grew frustrated. Their shield strength is higher than predicted. Then increase fire. Agzrine shouted. More ships moved forward. Heavy dreadnoughts aimed at Earth. Their main cannons began charging. Admiral Hale watched carefully. Now, he said, from beneath Earth's oceans, massive structures rose. Gigantic towers broke through the waves. Water crashed around them. They were ancient weapons, built in secret decades ago. The Aegis array. Each tower fired. Each tower fired. Each tower fired. Beam of white energy toward space. The beams combined above Earth, forming a focused strike. It pierced through the closest Verith dreadnought. The massive ship split in half. Shockwaves spread through the fleet. Impossible, a Verith officer whispered. But it was possible, and it had just happened. The battle became chaos. Human warships launched from Mars shipyards, from hidden asteroid bases, from behind Saturn's rings. Wolf-class ships darted between larger enemy vessels. Black Horizon ships targeted command carriers. Gravity weapons crushed entire squadrons. The Verith fleet was powerful, but inside the narrow space of the solar system, their numbers worked against them. They struggled to maneuver. Human ships moved like hunters in a forest. Then something unexpected happened. New hyperspace signatures appeared. Not human, unknown. Agzrine's eyes widened. Identify them. The answer came quickly. Multiple fleets, matching minor species from the outer sectors. Ships from smaller civilizations exited hyperspace. Species once controlled by the Verith Empire. Species that had suffered under its rule. They formed defensive lines beside human fleets. They did not match the size of the Iron Wall, but their presence changed everything. On Earth, President Ratio watched the new arrivals. They chose, she said softly. Admiral Hale nodded. Humans fight hard, but we fight fair. The galaxy had noticed. The combined fleets pushed forward. Verith ships began to fall faster. Supply lines were already weak. Morale was collapsing. Agzrine refused to retreat. Focus all fire. On Earth, he screamed. If we destroy their home, they break. The largest Verith supercarrier moved into range. Its main weapon charged. A cannon designed to crack planets. Admiral Hale saw it. If that fires, the shield may not hold. President Ratio looked at him. Can we stop it? Hale gave one command. Release Prometheus. From deep space behind Pluto, something massive moved. A ship unlike any other. Long, dark, silent. It had never been shown to the galaxy. Its engines glowed blue as it entered the battlefield. The Prometheus, the ancient machine, had fully merged with it. Its voice echoed calmly through human command channels. Target acquired. The supercarrier fired. First, a beam of pure destruction shot toward Earth. The lunar shield strained. Cracks formed across its surface. Then Prometheus fired. A concentrated gravity spear crossed the solar system in seconds. It struck the supercarrier directly in its core. The massive ship collapsed inward, crushed into a sphere of twisted metal. Then it exploded. The shockwave passed harmlessly through space. Silence followed. Every Verith ship saw it. Their greatest weapon, gone. Inside the Verith flagship, fear finally replaced anger. Agzrine stared at the burning debris of his supercarrier. He understood something now. Humans had not shown their full strength before. They had been holding back, testing, preparing, waiting for this moment. Commander, one officer whispered. Fleet morale is failing. Across the battlefield, Verith ships began retreating. Not in order, not with discipline. They fled. The Iron Wall fleet was breaking. Admiral Hale did not celebrate. Do not pursue beyond defensive perimeter, he ordered. An officer looked surprised. Sir, we can destroy them completely. Hale shook his head. No, let them run. President Ratio understood. If they retreat, she said, the war ends with fear. If they were destroyed completely, revenge might grow later. If they fled in defeat, the lesson would remain. As the last Verith ships jumped to hyperspace, the solar system grew quiet. Earth was still standing. The shield flickered but held. Human fleets regrouped. Allied species remained in orbit, watching the blue planet. The turning point had come. The Empire had attacked humanity's home, and failed. But the war was not fully over, because now, the Verith Empire itself was exposed, and humanity had a choice: end the war, or end the Empire. The battlefield above Earth was silent. Burning wreckage drifted slowly through space. Broken Varith ships floated like dark shadows among the stars. The Iron Wall fleet, once feared across the galaxy, was gone, not destroyed completely, but broken, retreating. For the first time in centuries, the Varith Empire had run from a battle, and the entire galaxy had watched it happen. On Earth, the lunar shield slowly powered down. The massive towers of the Aegis Array lowered back beneath the oceans. Human ships regrouped in orbit. There was no loud celebration, only quiet relief. Admiral Marcus Hale stood in command, staring at the tactical screen. Varith ships were jumping back toward their own territory. Confirm full retreat, he ordered. Confirm full retreat, he ordered. Confirmed, an officer replied. Enemy fleet is withdrawing to capital space. Hale took a slow breath. It's over, someone whispered. Hale shook his head slightly. No, he said calmly. It's decided. Inside the Varith flagship, High Commander Siren sat in silence. The bridge was damaged. Systems flickered. Officers moved carefully, afraid to speak too loudly. Loss reports continued to arrive. Supercarrier destroyed. Shield fleet shattered. Allied species openly supporting humanity. Supply networks collapsing. For the first time, the Empire was not feared. It was vulnerable. Exrine finally spoke. Prepare emergency session with the Galactic Council. An officer hesitated. To request reinforcement, Commander. Exrine's eyes were tired now. No, he said quietly. To request a negotiation. The news spread fast. The Varith Empire wanted to negotiate. The same empire that had declared war with confidence. The same empire that believed humanity would fall in weeks. Now asking for terms. In the Grand Galactic Council chamber, every seat was filled. The tension was heavy. High Commander Siren appeared as a hologram in the center of the room. He no longer stood tall and proud. He stood still, measured. Across from him stood President Alina Rasho and Admiral Hale, human representatives, calm, unshaken. The council leader spoke. The Varith Empire requests a ceasefire. They are prepared to discuss peace. Murmurs filled the chamber. Many species expected humanity to demand revenge, to demand territory, to demand control. Instead, President Rasho stepped forward. Humanity did not begin this war, she said in a clear voice, and we do not seek to rule the galaxy. The room became silent. Exrine looked confused. You could destroy us, he said slowly. Why stop now? Admiral Hale answered. Because we are not you. The words were simple, but they carried weight. President Rasho continued. We want three things. First, the Varith Empire will withdraw all forces from systems taken by force in the past 50 cycles. Second, all controlled species will be given independence. Third, no empire will demand submission from another species again. Shock spread across the chamber. These were not demands of conquest. They were demands of balance. Exrine hesitated. If we refuse, Admiral Hale's voice was steady. Then the Prometheus enters your capital system. Silence. Everyone had seen what Prometheus could do. The ancient machine ship had crushed the supercarrier like it was nothing. No shield had stopped it. No fleet had blocked it. The message was clear. Humanity could end the Varith Empire completely, but they were choosing not to. Exrine lowered his head slightly. The proud commander who once declared war now faced reality. We accept, he said quietly. Gasps echoed across the council. The Varith Empire had surrendered, not because it was fully destroyed, but because it understood something important. Humanity would not stop. Across the galaxy, celebrations began. Smaller species that had lived in fear for generations saw hope. Trade routes reopened. Military blockades were lifted. The Varith fleets returned home. Smaller and humbled, the Empire still existed, but it was no longer the center of fear. On Earth, President Rasho addressed the world. The war is over, she said. Crowds filled the streets of cities across the planet. People hugged. Soldiers returned home. Ships powered down from combat readiness. But Admiral Hale stood alone in orbit, looking at the stars. An officer approached him. Sir, the galaxy is calling humanity the most powerful species alive. Hale gave a small smile. Power is not what makes us dangerous, he replied. What does, sir? He looked at Earth. Survival. far beyond the galaxy's edge. The ancient machine slowly powered down parts of its systems. Its calculations showed stable peace, for now, but before entering low power state, it transmitted one final message into deep space. A warning: if threat level rises again, response will escalate. The galaxy would never see that message, but somewhere, something else might. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the Cathari Elder spoke once more. They declared war on humanity, he said softly, and the galaxy was not ready. Another leader asked, ready for what? The Elder's eyes focused on the distant image of Earth, ready for a species that does not seek domination, but cannot be dominated. Years later, the story would be told across star systems, how a young species from a small blue planet stood against the largest empire in history, how they did not win with numbers, or size, or age. They won with patience, strategy, unity, and the simple refusal to kneel. Humanity did not become rulers of the galaxy. They became something more important, the line that could not be crossed. The species that once attacked would respond without fear. The galaxy had believed humans were young, soft, divided. They were wrong, because when united, humans are not the strongest species. They are not the oldest. They are not the most advanced. They are the most lethal when forced to fight. And now the entire galaxy understood the truth behind the warning. Declaring war on humanity is not a battle. It is a mistake you survive only once.